Everybody here believes in the power of big data. I don't think there's much debate about this.
Can you put the microphone nearer your voice?
I'll try. Like this? Works better? Basically, without big data, government is not going to reinvent its business model. Everything is going to depend on that. If you think about what's been the biggest managerial breakthrough in the 21st century, it's crowdsourcing, not sort of business bureaucratic model. I would even go one step further and say that the next big superpower is going to be the country that is able to combine the hierarchy of institutions, bureaucracy, with the collaborative information flows that you can generate with big data. And more than anything, that's going to hinge on people being able to develop innovative applications on top of big data. That's really the precondition. It's about the co-creation of governance. I don't think governments need to be afraid of it. I think they can gain a lot of capital from this. But when it comes to the relationship between big data and trust, things get a lot more complicated. At least that's my experience. Open government isn't just about more transparency. You know, throwing more data into the public doesn't generate any trust. It doesn't lead people to actually use that data. It doesn't lead governments to work in ways that are different from what they currently do. Really, the key is basically to combine big data with collaboration and communication. Actually, there are some very good examples for this in the business sector. If you think about collaborative consumption, you know, these days people are willing to share their cars, their apartment with total strangers. Sort of the business community has sort of moved from sharing your information with someone else to sharing your credit card information with someone else to what actually sharing your car or an apartment. And that's the kind of sort of processes that we are still very, very much at the beginning. And I want to just conclude with a personal experience that we had here at the OECD. You know, we produce a lot of big data. We started some years ago with the PISA test. We put comparative information about schooling out for government. Everybody knows where school systems stand, and it has actually led to a lot of changes. And it has a real impact on policy, on government. But then you go to people at the front line, who are teachers and school principals, and they'll often be quite skeptical. They say, well, there's a lot of data, but it's just another tool to which governments try to control the work of teachers, vertical accountability, all of those kind of things. That's been, on the one hand, you know, it has a real impact, real improvement. On the other hand, people at the front line, they're very, very skeptical. This year, we started an experiment which has really changed the dynamics. We said, okay, PISA is no longer just a tool which governments use to assess education systems. We make that tool available to any school. A school in Arizona can now see how it performs against a school in Shanghai or any other school in the world. Basically, people at the front line can use big data, can use applications to study and analyze where they are. And the attitude of people towards PISA at the front line has totally changed. It's very, very hard to convince our schools to actually take part in PISA, to collect national samples. We have no problem with participation for this kind of test. It's a kind of my PISA. It enables people actually to use data to see where they stand, to use it actually to improve, to learn from others, to create an international space. And I think that's where generally in government we are still very, very far away from. We produce a lot of data, we throw it in the public. We're not yet there to create the kind of applications to generate the communicative flows that will actually lead to people doing things differently. Thanks.
Andreas, thank you very much. Colm, I'm going to come to you. Could you just reintroduce yourself to the audience? I mean, you're big in education. The reason I came to you was because I wanted to pick up that thread about the importance of education from Andreas.
Sure. So I'm Colm Harman. I'm Professor of Economics at University of Sydney, and a relatively recent arrival from Ireland to Sydney, along with about 50,000